Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Khalid. Today is the 13th of October 2021, and these are the stories that will be under discussion during the course of the show. We will begin, ladies and gentlemen, by celebrating the 70 years of the diplomatic relations between the Islamic Republic of Pakistan and the Federal Republic of Germany. 70 years of a lot of highs, 70 years of cooperation in many fields, 70 years of high-level visits, 70 years of better understanding each other. That is where we are right now between the two countries, and from here it's only going to move forward in the right direction, further cementing the ties between the two countries. This is going to be our leading story. Then we'll be talking about India and the way the minorities are being treated in our not so friendly neighborhood. Now, we've talked about how Muslims are being treated. There's a whole article that has come out very recently in Time as well that calls on Muslim genocide in India. That is what the title of it is. But it's not just relegated to the Muslims, it's also going towards the Christian community. Now, of late, we've seen that the Vishwa Hindu Prashad and Bajrang Dal have threatened to demolish churches in the Indian state of Madhya Pradesh. And a lot of important leaders from the Christian community have complained to the government in that regard. This is going to be our second story, and then finally we'll be talking about the 73rd birth anniversary of renowned Qawwal and Shahanshah Qawwal, in fact, Ustad Nusrat Ali Khan Sahab. Although he's not here, but his legend lives on, and today he would have been 73 years of age. We'll celebrate the legend that was, is, and will continue to remain Nusrat Ali Khan. Let's begin with our first story, and that concerns the 70 years of the diplomatic relations between Pakistan and Germany. These relations that have seen a lot of good times and will see, inshallah, further good times in the years to come. More in the following report.
The Federal Republic of Germany is broadly hailed as the economic might and engine of contemporary Europe. Pakistan, as a responsible country in the Committee of Nations, has always accorded great importance towards its relationship with Germany. Both countries have reciprocated their friendly diplomatic gestures time and again, and in the hour of need. Germany is a big source of investment and development assistance in Pakistan, whereas Pakistan has also extended its support to Germany on various occasions. Allama Iqbal, the world-known poet and philosopher who studied in Heidelberg and Munich, is a historical linkage between both the countries. Iqbal Ofer in Heidelberg reminds people of this valuable linkage. Allama Iqbal Fellowship at South Asia Institute of Heidelberg University is also bolstering the spirit of friendship. Pakistan is establishing Iqbal Goethe Center in Germany to make it a center of social, cultural and philosophical linkage between both the countries and beyond. 15th of October 2021 marks the 70th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between Germany and Pakistan. A number of commemorative activities, including publishing a special stamp and issuing a coin, have been planned by Pakistan. Pak-German cordial relations have been built on shared values of peace, democracy, pluralism, respect for human rights, cultural and religious diversity, and economic liberalism. The President, Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister sent felicitation messages to the government and the people of Germany on the German Unity Day this year. Islamabad has greatly appreciated Germany's role in helping Pakistan achieve the GSP Plus status in the European Union. Also, the German position of adhering to the technical criteria at the FATF is commendable. Recent frequent high-level exchanges between the two countries include visit of the Foreign Minister of Pakistan to Germany on the 11th to the 13th of April 2021, visit of the German Foreign Minister Mr. Heiko Maas on 28th to the 29th of April 2021, and again on the 30th to the 31st of August 2021. Visit of Chief of Army Staff General Qamar to Germany on the 23rd to the 26th of June 2021. Another high-level visit is also being scheduled by the Pakistani embassy in Berlin during next year. These efforts exhibit Pakistan's seriousness and the significance it attaches to its relations with Germany. Both the countries also have strong economic ties. In its bid to build sustainable broad-based partnership with Pakistan, Germany has periodically expressed its intent to increase investment in Pakistan's diverse sectors and boost trade relations. Germany, as the economic powerhouse, is the fifth largest destination for Pakistani exports. Pakistan's main exports to Germany are textiles, leather goods, sports goods, footwear and medical instruments. Every year, a large number of Pakistani companies participate in trade fairs and exhibitions in Germany. Pakistan is a significant market for German exports like machinery, chemical and electrical goods, motor vehicles and iron goods. Pakistanis also possess an indirect contribution in promoting Germany's most favorite game, football or soccer, as Pakistan exports around 3.5 million footballs to Germany every year. Amid wide-ranging convergence of interest, education is becoming most important area of engagement. Pakistani students were among the largest groups of Asian students at German universities, counting 5,228 students in total, enriching Pakistan's research and development ambience. A large number of Pakistani engineers, IT professionals and researchers are working in various German universities and companies, particularly in the areas of biotechnology, artificial intelligence and space sciences. Around 350 students got the PhD since 2004 under HEC DOT scholarship. Germany is home to over 130,000 members of Pakistani diaspora. In a recent study by Germany's Federal Employment Agency concluded that Pakistanis have been the most successful at finding work in the EU country over the past couple of years, and Pakistani diaspora is playing an important role in development of the German society. Dr. Asifa Akhtar is the first international female vice president of biology and medicine department in the prestigious Max Planck Society. She was also a nominee of prestigious Leibniz Prize of the German Research Foundation. Pakistan's Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi has already announced that Islamabad would open a consulate in Munich, Germany for greater economic collaboration and in cognizance with growing needs of the diaspora. Moreover, Germany resolutely facilitated Pakistan in its bid to attain SDG, and an entire generation of hydropower stations has been built with German technical assistance. The dynamic Pak-German ties were reaffirmed after German ambassador to Pakistan, Bernhard Schlagheck's generous acknowledgement of Pakistan's involvement in the Doha process to usher peace in Afghanistan and its evacuation operations. Pakistan's recent efforts to evacuate employees of German political foundations in Afghan in the wake of the US withdrawal were also hailed by the German authorities. Amid tectonic shifts in the world order, the center of gravity is shifting to Asia, and Pakistan's foreign policy paradigm shift from geopolitics to geoeconomics depicts momentous opportunity for German companies to tap diverse avenues of a promising South Asian country. The broad-based German-Pakistan bilateral relation will further expand by continued cooperation of both the countries in areas of mutual interest, such as trade and investment, climate change, multilateralism, defense, health, food security, cultural realm, tourism, academic exchanges, and science and technology.
Now, to talk more about the relationship between Pakistan and Germany, we have with us the ambassador of the ambassador of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, to the Federal Republic of Germany, Dr. Mohammad Faisal. Faisal, thank you very much to have joined us.
Thank you, Omar.
Faisal, you've been in Germany since a couple of months now, more than a year, if I'm not wrong. What's your first interpretation as far as the German point of view about Pakistan is concerned?
I arrived in Germany last year, April, so it's been about a year and 4 months, 5 months. Germans are very straight people. They generally have a positive impression about Pakistan and Pakistanis who are living there. About 150,000 Pakistani diaspora is residing in Germany, most of them in Frankfurt region, but also in Berlin. And we have we have a positive trade balance with Germany. Pakistan exports more to Germany than it imports. And the trade fairs of Germany, which are known for are populated by Pakistani businessmen a lot. The last year and a half has been slow due to Corona, but still online and video, all that thing continues, and the trade is still picking up.
All right, that's wonderful. Coming out of trade and going towards forging of better relations between the two countries, we've had a couple of high-level visits between the two countries, and that too, from our side, it was the German government that invited us, whether it be our foreign minister, whether it be the chief of the army staff, or whether it be the German foreign minister who came twice to Pakistan. How important are these visits to further cement or understand each other better?
These high-level visits are critical because they help in understanding of the other country for the leadership of my country or the leadership of the German government. And our foreign minister's visit happened after 9 long years, and the army chief's visit also happened after 4 or 5 years gap, so it was a bigger gap. The German foreign minister's visit, of all these visits actually are preparation for the highest level visit which we are working towards. Of course, this increases the understanding of the systems that both the governments have, the understandings between the peoples of both the governments. The media, the German media, when it runs the visit of the army chief, that he was at the German Command and Staff College, or he met the foreign minister of Germany or the defense minister, etc., etc. So that if in the eyes of German people, it raises the profile of Pakistan. They want to know about Pakistan. So these are very useful indicators for us.
Another important indicator is the youth, whether it be in Pakistan or in Germany. We've got a huge sizable proportion of youth in Pakistan that is logged in digitally to the rest of the world. When we speak of forging better relations with any country, especially when we talk of Germany here, how important is it also for digital improvement or improvement in the digital realm to further understand each other?
It is very important. Now, we have about 5,000 to 7,000 Pakistani students who are studying in Germany in technical universities, medicine, law, etc., etc. So I always encourage that more and more Pakistani students should, number one, learn German language, at least go to B1 level, and definitely try to get admissions in Germany and go to Germany, because it's a wonderful opportunity. It's very cheap, the education there, and it's top of the line. So it's very good for us that our students go there, they come back, or they find employment there, it's up to them, but if they come back, they help in uplifting of the Pakistani society. So we have to find linkages between the youth of both the countries. We are also working on technical domain, technical education domain.
All right.
So hopefully
vocational training,
NAFTA, TAFTEC, etc. We are trying to develop a linkage, an MOU actually is being worked upon, so that these people can go there for technical education, learn something. There is a huge about 4 million or so people are needed there, because it's not a huge growth rate country in Germany. The population is not expanding, whereas we have a youth bulge. 65% of the Pakistani people are below 30 or 35 years of age. So if we can have some training here, and then they get a license and they can work there, so as electricians or workmen or something, because you have to have some kind of licensing and language. So we are working on that. We are very hopeful that something good should come out of it.
Oh, that is wonderful. Now, 150,000 Pakistanis reside in Germany as we speak. There's also a certain amount of Germans that reside who work with different companies or the embassy here in Pakistan. How important is their contribution to also further understand each other's communities and cultures and traditions, and how similar are we as people and societies?
It is very important, because eventually these 150,000 people are the ambassadors of Pakistan, and most of the Germans will only interact with one of them, because in their day-to-day business, not with the embassy or with the rest of the leadership. So these people are creating a very good impression of Pakistan. We are seen as dependable and very competent, and we work a lot. Our diaspora, we are proud of them. They work a lot, and there is very less politics. So they have created a very good niche. That is why there's an interest that more people can come from Pakistan to Germany. So we want to work on that. Germans in Pakistan, to your viewers, they'll be surprised to know that Omar and I are school fellows, and we went to the med school, the Ruth Fau. Ruth Fau Foundation.
Exactly.
You have seen that in the German leprosy hospital. We visited that. The Germans have a huge footprint in the social sector in Pakistan. So we need to bring that out because people don't know. They've forgotten. Anne-Marie Schimmel, and there's a rich history.
Exactly.
So we need to bring it out.
Goethe is
Goethe Institute is doing a wonderful job. We are trying, and hopefully we're working on it to develop a Iqbal Goethe Art Center Institute with the help of Government of Pakistan, and inshallah we're trying to get some help from Government of Germany in Heidelberg or Munich, to bring out digital art or latest forms of Iqbal's poetry or something that is more attractive to the youth in Germany and Pakistan. So it'll be established very soon. We'll invite you.
Wonderful. And Allama Iqbal, speaking of him, he's extremely popular in Germany. And of course he studied there as well.
He was there for about 4 or 5 years. In 1907, around that, he studied in Heidelberg, completed his PhD in Munich. So in Munich, there's a park in his name. In Heidelberg, there's a street, Iqbal Straat, Iqbal Offer on his name. There's a lot of the connection. But I would concede here that the youth is not very aware of it. Our failure, I think. We have to bring it out in a manner that attracts them.
All right. Speaking of attracting people, whether it be the youth of Pakistan or whether it be the German companies, there are a lot of German companies in Pakistan, and there's a whole list that I was going through. One new addition that is coming back to Pakistan is Lufthansa.
Yes.
Would you tell us a little bit about that?
We are working on it. Hopefully, you will hear good news soon.
All right. So, of course, Lufthansa is apparently, as per sources, going to resume its services to Pakistan. As far as the business relationship between the two countries are concerned, how much do you feel the people in Germany or the big German companies are interested in investing in Pakistan or opening offices in Pakistan?
There is a lot of keenness, especially in the special economic zones of CPEC. The German interest is there. They want to expand their footprint for their own reasons here, and we are attracting them. The foreign minister had when Shah Mahmood Qureshi Saab was in Berlin, he had an extensive meeting with German businessmen, and we are working on many contacts. Siemens is expanding its footprint already here, especially in EV charging of it. Electric vehicles are coming in. So Siemens is one of the best in technology, so they are expanding. We are working on many other projects with the German side. German is not German. We are working with Germany as leader of EU. As after Brexit, Germany is our most solid contact with the EU. So, and we have a history with the Germans. So I'm very hopeful that we will have something.
Whether it be GSP Plus that has helped Pakistan also forge better business ties with the European countries, including Germany, or whether it be in the other spheres, the relationship between the two countries is going strong. And also one of the facets of that relationship has been recently when a lot of Germans were evacuated from Afghanistan. We in Pakistan helped them and so many other people from different countries to come to Pakistan and go to their respective countries. Were the Germans cognizant of this fact?
They actually, we gave them extensive help, and they were very grateful, and I can share this. The German foreign minister was here on 30th of August, and he called on our prime minister, and I was there, and the first thing he said was the Germany is very grateful for the help that Pakistan has extended. So, Pakistan has done a lot of help to many countries for evacuations that came out of Afghanistan and continue to come out of Afghanistan. So this is again a strong link that we need to build upon, and we will inshallah build upon.
All right. Of course, there's also a change in government that is taking place in Germany, and there's a new coalition that is going to be formed as we speak in the days to come. How keen are both countries willing to continue working in the same atmosphere that they have been in the past years?
I am the representative of Pakistan to Germany. I'm telling you, we are very, very keen. And the German side, as I said, the foreign minister was here. They are also very keen, and they are finding a new place in the new world order that is emerging. And Germany is really strengthened, especially in the economic arena, and we should capitalize on that.
All right. You said we'll be hearing good news as far as the business community. Of course, I was referring to Lufthansa. Will we be hearing also some good news as far as some official visits in in the future are concerned?
Yes, definitely. They're on the cards, and we are just, as you very rightly mentioned, that the honeymoon period in Germany after the elections, and they can take up to 3 to 4 months in forming a coalition government. Again, a lesson to be learned for us, that coalitions and political processes, they take time. They can't be done overnight. So last time they formed a government about 3 or 4 months later after the elections. This is the same now. They said, they talk, discuss, give and take. As soon as the government is formed, we'll start working.
All right, Faisal, also Pakistan's strategy is changing towards geoeconomics, and the China-Pakistan economic CPEC, I mean, is a huge manifestation of that. How interested are the Germans in being part of the CPEC, or being part, as you said earlier in the show, as well, special economic zones as well? Because we're also going to have the special technological zones that are going to open very soon as well.
There are 6 or 7 special economic zones, and we have asked the Germans to participate in the economic zones, and they are very keen. Hopefully, when these visits happen in the days to come, they will be the starter or trigger for manifestation of the German interest.
And finally, talking to each other is something that is very important, whether it be the Pakistan-German Business Forum, or whether it be the strategic dialogue that has been initiated since 2011. How important is talking to each other, understanding each other through different fora in order to better cooperate with each other?
It is very important, because you see, not only in the political terms, that is the conventional wisdom that we have when we talk of forums of dialogue, cultural forums. I have seen interest in Ustad Bismillah Khan's Shehnai in Germany, sitar, art forms that we have, paintings, short films. There's a lot of interest. Digital art. We had an exhibition despite Corona about digital art, some Pakistani artists. The new forms of art. There's a lot of convergence in Pakistani and German youth. We need to build upon that. Maybe PTV can do a program on it or something. There's a lot of potential there to bring it out. And there are so many things that can be common.
All right. So many commonalities, so many things that can be worked upon, so many things that are being worked upon between the two countries and have been worked upon in order to forge better, stronger and more stable relations between Pakistan and Germany. And you are the ambassador there, of course, Faisal, trying to further strengthen that bond, that relationship between the two countries. We wish you all the very best. And as you said, we hope to see a lot of good news coming as far as from the German front in the coming days and months. Thank you very much, Dr. Mohammad Faisal, Ambassador of Pakistan to the Federal Republic of Germany, talking to us about Pakistan-German relations, and we are celebrating 70 years of the diplomatic relations between our two brotherly countries. Thank you, Faisal.
Thank you very much.
Let's go to our second segment, ladies and gentlemen. That concerns the way the minorities are being treated in India, whether it be the Muslims or the Christians. There is a huge hue and cry amongst those minorities. More in the following report.
The minorities in India endured decades of systematic discrimination, marginalization and oppression, but the situation worsened under Hindu nationalist BJP government. The most vulnerable minority group has been Muslims, as Saffron government left no stone unturned to strangulate and subjugate the beleaguered minority group. The other minority groups such as Sikh, Christians and low-caste Hindus, Dalits have also been disproportionate victims of communal violence unleashed under brazen state sponsorship. In their latest attempt to strip the minority groups of their fundamental rights, Hindu goons masquerading as government officials are preparing to demolish churches in Jhabua district of Madhya Pradesh, India. Fanatic hooligans claiming to be members of Vishwa Hindu Parishad are harassing and intimidating Christians in broad daylight without instigating any state action. Despite multiple pleas by Christian groups urging government to intervene, local government is protecting the perpetrators who continue to hurl security threats and dire consequences to Christian residents. Bishop Munia alleged that local administrators were siding with the perpetrators responsible for harassing Christians who number a mere 4% of the 1 million population of the district. The demonization of minorities is one of the gory tactics of BJP politicians to garner public support and hurl multi-ethnic India towards monolithic Hindu despotism. International community must urgently take notice of escalating communal violence in India before this brutalization morph into maliciously orchestrated genocide aimed at imposing Hidutva final solution upon minorities.
Now to talk more about this final Hindutva solution and the way the minorities are being treated, of course, in India, whether it be Muslims or whether it be Christians or whether it be even as far as the Indian races, the Hindu races are concerned, the Dalits, and so on and so forth. We've been joined by Qamar Cheema Saab, who is a foreign affairs expert. Qamar Cheema Saab, thank you very much to have joined us. But before he comes, let's talk a little bit about what has been happening as far as since the BJP has taken power. Of course, this is their second stint in the government, and since BJP came into power, they have been propagating the RSS ideology, kind of propagating the Hidutva whole process of philosophy in our neighboring country, that is India, and that goes to the detriment of all the minorities that are present there. And whether it be lynching of the Muslims, whether it be the way they are treated, whether it be the way they are being forced to convert themselves, or whether it be also by the way the Christian minorities are also being forced to kind of be relegated to a certain sect and to a certain area. This is not how a country that calls itself the world's largest democracy needs to function. Qamar Cheema Saab joins us online. Qamar Cheema Saab, thank you very much to have joined us. Qamar Cheema Saab, what do you make of all of this? We've seen the way the Muslims are being treated, and now the Christians as well, and the huge hue and cry that is being made out by the Christian community. What next? I mean, to which level, to which extent is the Indian government going to go in order to either try to subjugate its minorities or kind of sideline them completely?
Thank you very much, Bhatt Sahib. I think the most important thing we have been noticing since 2014 is since Prime Minister Modi has taken office, is that BJP is trying to push and trying to project a cultural hegemony of Hindu religion over the other minorities. So they believe that the more Hindu nationalism is practiced, the more they look into calling others as the group of the society which do not matter. Even the Hindu nationalism has taken BJP to the heights that the Hindu nationalist leaders do not go to the Christians and the Muslims for asking even them for the votes. So I think this right-wing Hindu populism which Prime Minister Modi brought with the 2014, and I think the most challenging task for India and for everyone else was that in 2019, he got stamped with a further larger majority of the Indian society, which believed that whatever the issues of identity and this so-called patriotism is Prime Minister Modi bringing, this is good for the country. So overall, what we have noticed is that Americans put India as a country of particular concern when it comes to religious freedom. I think that was how the American foreign policy establishment and the institutions are taking, and they are deeply looking at how the overall societal structure of Indian society has been reshaped in last 7 or 8 years. But the problem is that how the international community wants to engage with India is not being looked from the lens of the global principles of democracy.
And why is that? Why isn't it being looked through the proper lens? Why?
Batsab, this is a very important and pertinent question, that why the world is avoiding them. For example, Prime Minister Modi was in Washington, D.C. He was sharing the table with all the powerful global leaders of the Quad, but the entire American media lambasted Prime Minister Modi, and the state was looking from a different lens, and the American society, American Western media was looking from different lens. So we have seen a polarization in the West, that how they have to view India. So this polarization is because the rise of China is a very big challenge for the United States, and that is why the Americans just left the Afghans and Afghanistan, and what we have seen, that America considers that going into the Indo-Pacific and challenging China is more important, and that they can do with the support.
But Qamar Cheema Saab, is that why? Is it because of geostrategic reasons that India is being given a free rein to do whatever it wants within its country as far as human rights abuses are concerned?
I think the Western countries believe their geostrategic position is there. The geoeconomics of India is also there, and at the same time, they believe that they have a potential capability as well. But remember, India is not coming in the trap of the United States in that way. They're playing very smart in that way. So the point is, the Indians want to take all that commercial incentives, all that incentives of being into the multilateral forums, but they don't want to go into competing China militarily because they understand they can't compete with them. So in reality, there is a division in the West, and society, media, human rights group are looking India differently. The state leaders are looking India differently, and with every
I
passing
totally
day,
agree with you on that, Qamar Cheema Saab, which brings me to a very interesting fact that some of the media houses are saying, the international media houses, they say India has become a true reflection of Nazi Germany under Hitler regime, and Muslims and minorities of India are facing the same atrocities as the Jews of Nazi Germany. Now, we know exactly how the West portrays the whole community of the Jewish community across the world, and how it talks about the atrocities that have been committed. We still watch films and series that are based on that. Isn't it high time that they also realize that there is a whole part two or a sequel of that that is being perpetrated by India inside of its country and in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir?
I think, but sir, the world has understood that this majoritarianism is there in India, and India has lost the spirit of the constitution, and it has failed to do that. So when it comes to Indian occupied Kashmir, we understand that Indian authorities are using the constitution as a two-edged sword. They are using the constitution of India in a separate way in the rest of the India, and when it comes to the Indian occupied Kashmir, they are using the constitution from that majoritarianist lens that they have to enforce their political, ideological, religious commitments in Indian occupied Kashmir, and they're looking that we have to change it. So they're just adopting that Israeli model that you have to go for a maximum force, do not give them the rights, do not take away their individual liberties, do not respect their human rights. Uh, let's not implement the constitution. Let's forget the global commitments. They are having that global support coming from all the powerful capitals, that whatever the use of the force is being used in Indian occupied Kashmir, that is not being taken very seriously. So we understand that without any global support, the Kashmiri cause is still alive because the people have not forgotten how have they lived in last 75 years. So generation after generation is trying to fight out and trying to soberly project their case. The Kashmiris are projecting the case not through the militarily, they are not projecting the case from the militant lens, they are projecting the case by giving sacrifices, by implementing even the Indian constitution, living under the domain of the Indian constitution for asking for their rights and demanding and shaking the global capitals to listen what have been promised with them in the constitution, and the way the BJP is trying to promote its cultural hegemony over the minorities. So do not forget that this is a country that was taken on the name of the democracy, and now India is moving away, and other political parties like Congress party said it that very carefully long ago, that from 2014 India should be ready to see a change of the constitution in India. So I believe that the large section of Indian society is hostile. It is not giving rights to the Muslims the way it has been promised. So we have to see that how in the only hope which is left, Barsab, is that how international media and the global civil society, we do not have hope from the global institutions because they have turned their eye away from the human rights of the Kashmiri people, and they have taken that the human rights in Europe and America are different. The human rights in the occupied territories are different. So the only hope that is left, that how media, global think tanks, human rights bodies, they project and highlight the case of the minority, the Muslims in Indian occupied Kashmir. We have seen that even the Muslim, the organizations like OIC, they have not given the value and the respect to the life and property and the civil liberties of the people of Kashmir. So let's see and let's rely
All right,
only.
you talk, Qamar Cheema Sahab, you talked about the role of the media that becomes primordial in this day and age, especially when you said that the countries and the big institutions are really not favoring the end to the human rights abuses within India, especially when it concerns minorities. Now, Time magazine, on the 4th of this month, 4th of October 2021, takes out a huge article with the title, "Is India Headed for an Anti-Muslim Genocide?" This is a very, very important title, and when it comes from a very important publication such as Time, it makes us understand that people across the world and also in the United States understand what changes India is going through and has been going through in the last couple of years since the BJP came into power. They also talk of the destruction of Gandhi's legacy, because they also talk about that in the whole perspective of human rights abuses, because Gandhiism was, of course, respecting your fellow man irrespective of his race or religion. What do you have to say on that?
Well, obviously, the word is speaking on that, but I think Prime Minister Modi does not care about that. For example, the Citizen Amendment Act passed in December 2019, and then it was the National Register of Citizens, again, a constitutional tool which India is using, a discrimination for the Muslims. And we personally believe that with all that constitutional changes, Prime Minister Modi is bringing, and look, the way the Muslims are being treated. If a Muslim man marries a Hindu girl, they call it a love jihad. And jihad they have termed as if Islamophobia is in new shape. And Barsab, if you remember, when the Taliban took power in Afghanistan, there was a massive Islamophobic content that was produced in India just to demonize the Muslims, that this is how the Muslims look like. So they are trying to terrorize and trying to isolate and trying to stigmatize the Muslims in India overall, so that to call them as if the
Qamar Cheema
Muslims
Sahab,
are
don't you remember what happened in Assam? Don't you remember how that Indian journalist rammed on the dead body of that Muslim?
Obviously those are the examples, but with every when when overall constitution is shaped in a way, then that gives the liberty to the general people to behave with the minorities the way they want to behave. So when the Indian authorities, when Prime Minister Modi, when Amit Shah, the head of the BJP, when he says that the Muslims are like termites, and the Muslims, those who have come from Myanmar, from Bangladesh, they are termites and they should be sent back. They are just like insects. So this is how they are treating the largest, so-called largest democracy is treating them. The only hope Barsab lives is that will Indian media, which has collapsed under Prime Minister Modi, will Indian media support the civil liberties of the Muslims, or will they support the right-wing
Or even the civil
populism?
liberties of the Christian community? I mean, and for that matter, even the Dalits. I mean, Qamar Cheema Sahab, the list goes on and on as far as civil liberties is concerned. Something that needs to be part and parcel of any democracy is no longer part of our not so friendly neighbor India, and that is why, as you've said, the whole question mark remains as to whether India needs to be called a real or a true democracy at all, because that is what Narendra Modi said when he was in New York, that it is the mother of all democracies. In fact, it is neither, unfortunately. Thank you very much, Qamar Cheema Sahab, to have joined us and to have talked to us about the atrocities that are being committed on the minorities, whether it be the Christians or the Muslims or the other races, even Hindu races, and that this is a list that continues on and on. I could do a whole 1 hour show just on the way they are persecuting the minorities in India. Let's hope better sense prevails, if not within India, then within the world, that can put pressure on India to change its mode of conduct towards its minorities. And let's come to our last segment, ladies and gentlemen, and that concerns the 73rd birthday of Ustad Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan Sahab. He would have been 73 today. Unfortunately, he left us a couple of years back. Nevertheless, his legend lives on and will continue to live on. The Shahanshah Qawwal, Ustad Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan. More in the following report.
Birth anniversary of the Pride of Pakistan, Ustad Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, is being observed today. The legend Qawwal was born in Faisalabad on October 13, 1948, in a family of classical singers, embarked on singing career with Qawwali, followed by ever-increasing line of music including Sufi and hymns. With his stunning voice, Khan's first public performance was as the leader of a Qawwali party at a studio recording broadcast as part of an annual music festival organized by Radio Pakistan known as Jashn-e-Bahara.
अली का नाम सुनकर अब भी खैबर कांप जाता है शाह मर्दान अली
His first major hit was the song Haq Ali Ali, while he also did joint ventures with well-known international singers. Khan reached out to Western audiences through his work with Peter Gabriel on the soundtrack to The Last Temptation of Christ in 1985. His songs are still alive among his fans and also youngsters and have defined the art form of Qawwali for the generations to come. Some of his most famous songs include Kinna Sona Tenu, Piya Re, Gham Hai Ya Khushi, Mera Piya Ghar Aaya, The Mast Kalandar, Afri, and many others. The government had awarded him with the pride of performance for his splendid work in the field of music. The legend Qawwal died of a cardiac arrest at the age of 49 on 16th August 1997 at the peak of his career.
Ustad Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan Saab, the legend always lives on, will continue to live on in our hearts on the different forms of media, because thanks to the digital revolution, we have his songs, his Qawwalis everywhere now, and even the world recognizes the genius that was Ustad Nusrat Ali Khan Saab. With that, we come to an end of today's show. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow with new segments and stories that matter to us, Pakistan, and to our society. Till then, of course, as I always show all the shows with, is the fact that we need to follow the SOPs. We need to get ourselves vaccinated against the pandemic that is COVID-19, and also be very careful because dengue is also penetrating our households. Allah Hafiz.